morning. Let's do some gentle yoga. I have a mudra today, and I wanted to point out my background. I love this picture. It inspires me. It's one of my favorite. It reminds me of one of my favorite hikes on Marshall Gulch up on Mount Lemmon, the poplars there. So I thought I'd add that to our just our visual. So just to see that in the background is a good reminder of nature as we are in our houses all the time. So I was thinking, I actually was wearing a t-shirt yesterday that had this beautiful quote on it. Listen to your heart, follow its path, and live the life only you were meant to live. There's something about that gives me hope and encouragement and interest in life. And so I was looking through my mudra book and I found one for expansion and openness. So this is how it goes. You just wrap your fingers into your palms, your thumbs stick out, and you can turn your hands out like this, palms up with the hands curled in, and you can lay them on your lap, or you can bring them kind of in towards your belly. So it looks like you're hitchhiking, which makes me think of people who are adventurous. Also slightly crazy, but anyway. So the affirmation for this mudra is, with openness, I feel a sense of optimism and vitality. And this gesture with our hands is actually the gesture for opening the breath in the upper part of the lungs, the upper part of the back, up toward the collarbones. And so today we'll just be expanding our breathing, expanding our torso as much as we can through our practice. So let's begin with that torso breath, which is simply inhaling and letting everything expand. Allowing the chest to rise and open, maybe even rolling the shoulder blades back a little. And then of course, exhaling to soften. We'll do that 5 or 6 more times together. You're welcome to breathe in the nose, out the mouth a few times. And then move into just breathing through your nose if you can. Maybe even close the eyes for a moment. One more deep breath. And then wiggling your fingers, lifting your hands and twisting your wrists. You can switch the crisscross of your legs or just switch to another position with your feet. Anything that feels good to you. We're going to stay seated for a little while and then we will move on to our back. So I'm just going to start to rock a little bit and open the arms really wide, letting the hands move back slightly, letting the shoulder blades gently draw toward each other as the heart just gets more and more open, the chest stretches out, and the spine stays pretty long, trying to avoid rounding here, really opening the heart. And then of course you can move deeper and deeper into that side stretch, just beginning to feel the body this morning. Coming back to center, lifting the arms all the way up, full inhale. On the exhale, turn the palms out and let the arms float down, hands touch the floor, let the chin drop, stretch the back of the neck. Flip the palms up and inhale, rising of the arms, maybe looking upward if it's okay with your neck, and then down. And we're gonna just move into a steady rhythm with our own breath, inhaling upward, exhaling downward, keeping the belly slightly engaged. Just beginning to feel the openness and expansion in the upper back, upper chest. Maybe one more time, lifting up and coming down. This time when you come down, lean to one side, slide the hand along the floor, let the other hand come to the waist, and roll the shoulder forward and back a little bit. So you're getting a little bit deeper into the ribs here. And then gently slide upward, and the other hand comes to the floor and slides along the mat. Hand to hip, roll the shoulder. Just enjoying that slight deepening in the stretch there. As you slowly come up, let the arms reach back upward. Roll the wrists a little bit. We're gonna lean back just a little, pull the belly in and up, and then slowly lean forward. Let the hands come down to the floor in front of you. Let the back stay long and flat. Reach through the chest, roll the shoulders back, maybe rock a little bit. Just get that squeeze going on the upper, middle, sides, wherever you feel it is good. Take one more big breath here. Start to walk the hands in and take them back behind you. We're gonna lean back, open the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades, get a little stretch right across the armpit, the front of the armpits there, and then start to walk your hands further back, lift your knees, and let your toes float off the floor. Keep your spine really long, shoulder blades squeezed together, a little bit of boat pose. And then begin to slide your legs wide apart, sitting up. Lean forward again, get that little bit of inner leg stretch there. Nice long straight back, and then come right up to center, lift the knees, and slide the feet both to one side. And you could stack the knees, you could widen the knees wide apart, you could any variation here with knees bent if it feels good. Of course, you can have legs wide. And I'm just gonna rock again once to each side, and then I'm gonna move into my twist. So I'm gonna start by twisting toward the feet, crossing the hand over to that opposite knee. Deep breath here. And then gently twisting to the other side, getting as deep as you like. You can let the hip follow you a little bit, roll it off the floor, leaning into the hip that is under you there with that front knee. Deep breath there. And once more to each side, kind of enjoy with the breath. A little bit of a smile. Nice. And come back to center, lean way back, lift the knees. Maybe let the feet hover, engage the core a little bit, move the legs around, and then slowly swing the feet to the other side. Coming up, I'm on my blanket, so my back has a nice curve. We're gonna twist toward the feet first, and then away. And once more to each side. I like to inhale into the twist and really increase that stretch. And then to the other side, inhaling again. Ah, that feels good. Let's go ahead and lean back and roll onto our backs and get into our hips a little more. We will probably use a strap on our back. It's always optional. As you roll onto your back, just enjoying the floor for a moment, letting it support you. Let the low back soften. Take a deep breath or two. See if you can take a torso breath here where you're expanding, especially up into the shoulders. Right across the chest, and then let it go. You can wiggle your toes a little and begin to rock your knees side to side. Just enjoying moving into the low back now. We've expanded our upper back, and we can keep that expansion going by widening the arms, maybe into straight out like the letter T, or into bent elbows like a cactus or goalpost, so that the chest stays wide open as we rest and move on our backs today. Bringing the knees back to center, let's begin some pelvic tilts. So flatten out the low back. Pull the belly down, maybe let the tailbone rise slightly off the floor just a little. You don't want to overdo it, especially if you have osteoporosis. You want to go real slow and gentle. And then begin to tip the tailbone down, arch the back of the body, lift the belly a little, and just go back and forth. Begin to link with your breath, and it doesn't matter. Inhale or exhale with either movement here. To get a little deeper into this movement, Allow the back to be neutral, and then pick your feet up, bring your knees in, and then squeeze them in, and then press them away from you. You can press the arms long, feel that arch in the back. It might even go up higher into the back, and then squeeze them in and rock them away. We're just deepening that pelvic tilt. This is what we call Uttanasana, and I love this movement. So gentle, it feels so rejuvenating for the lumbar, the hips, the spine. Just once more, drawing the knees in and then letting them float away. Let's let the toes touch the floor, but keep the knees bent right above the hips. And then just pick up one of your legs and reach it straight up, roll the ankle around, the other toe is balancing on the floor, and then bend that knee and let that toe tap down, the other leg comes up, roll it around. So you're keeping a little bit of an arch in the low back here, a little bit of engagement in the core, and then go ahead and pull both knees back into the chest. Now this time we're going to let the knees slide right out over the hips, but the legs are going to come out from the knees, the toes coming out at the level of the kneecaps there. And now we're going to tap down. So the toe taps down with one leg and then lifts back up. You should feel this in your core, right down into that belly, that low belly abdomen, but you can feel it up through the ribs. Now let's move back into our wide open chest position as well. Arms out wide or in cactus arms, and just tapping one toe and then the other. If you want a bigger workout, you can tap both toes together. If you want to get a little more work in the back, a little more work in the core, you're welcome to do that. It's a little safer, a little more doable, just doing one leg at a time. And we're just going to take about 4 more breaths here. 3 or 4 more repetitions. One more breath. And then letting both toes float to the floor, flatten the feet and slide the heels down, flatten out the soles of the feet so the toes curl back toward your nose. Reach your hands up over your head along the floor, full body stretch, flatten those feet, wiggle the toes. And then point the toes, see if you can get a big arch through the back of the body away from the floor. Another breath. And then soften, let the arms come down, bend the knees and rock side to side once again. Let's choose one side to stay on, let the knees rock over there. You can let the feet be wide apart or you can stack the knees. You could even stretch the top leg out, see how that feels, getting into that outer leg, into the glute and down into that low back as well. And take a big breath, widening the arm out behind you for the inhale on the twist. And then the knees bend and we rock slowly to the other side. Enjoying that deepening of the twist with the inhale. And rolling back onto your back once more. You might look around for your strap if you'd like to use it. We're going to stretch our hamstrings out. So I'll pull both knees in, wrap the strap around both feet. And you're welcome to just hold on behind your legs and not use a strap if that's better for you. Or of course, if you don't have one. Flatten out the feet, flatten out the back. Kind of move your shoulder blades up so there's lots of body on the mat underneath you there. And then start to draw the toes toward your nose just a little bit at a time. Find the edge of your stretch where you can't really go any further and allow the knees to bend a little bit. You don't have to keep them straight. Keep breathing here. Maybe rock your head a little. Keep flattening. You can straighten and bend the knees a few times, kind of coming into the stretch and releasing it gently. And then let's leave our right foot in the strap and let the left foot start to float down. You can bend the knee as deeply as you like, just letting the foot float to the floor. You can keep the knee bent or slide the heel down to the end of the mat. And as you do this, start to relax the low back. Let it get deeper into the mat. Feel that pressure against the floor. Take another big breath. And then slowly open the strap leg wide. Go as wide as you can before the other hip starts to come off the ground, and stop. Keep so that you keep the other hip flat to the floor. Take a big breath. And then come right back up to center. Lift the leg off the ground and bring it up into the strap. And slowly change so that now the left foot's in the strap and the right foot floats down. And of course the right knee can stay bent or stretch down the mat. Deepen into the stretch just for a breath or two. Feel the low back flat against the ground. And begin to widen slowly. Keeping the other hips centered or grounded. That's the word I'm looking for. You can wiggle those toes. And as you come back up to center, lift the leg off the ground and bring it into the strap. Good. We're just going to do one more deep hamstring stretch. We're going to bend the knees a lot so that the thighs kind of start to squish down onto the belly. The tailbone comes off the floor just a little bit, and the knees are right over the chest and the feet are right over the knees, and just pull deeply on the strap. Pull and kind of get your elbows into the floor. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Take a big, big breath. And release and relax. And just let the strap go. Let the feet come down. Roll around a little bit. Maybe even make some circles with your knees. You could roll them through the chest and over to one side and the other. Couple of big circles with the kneecaps. You can of course just use the whole legs as well. I like to keep my knees bent though. And we're going to take our time settling into bridge pose. So the feet come down into the position that works best for our knees. If there is knee pain, you'll walk your feet further down the mat. If your knees feel fine, you can bring those heels closer and closer in toward your buns there. And then begin to lift the hips off the floor. Stretch across those thighs. Nothing under your head, please. We want to protect the neck. Let there be that natural curve. And of course you could bend your elbows and point your fingertips toward the sky. Squeeze those shoulder blades, get them deep underneath you there. Keep breathing. You can stay as long as you like. You can come up and down. Move toward a belly breath here. And you might even be able to look down and see the belly rise and fall. Maybe another breath or two if you're still holding. Take your time slowly relaxing down, and do what comes naturally for you. Maybe it's rocking, maybe it's stretching out. Just follow your intuition here. Eventually, let's go ahead and roll over onto our side into seed pose and let the body fully rest. Take a deep breath. Notice where you can feel your inhale and exhale this morning. And we'll move slowly into our heart opening twist. The top arm reaches up and then way back behind us. See if you can adjust the hips and knees so that the shoulders both rest back on the floor. Stretch out wide for the inhale across the arms. And then bring your knees up and roll over onto your other side. Pause for that moment of rest in seed pose. And then bring the arm up slowly and reach it back behind you, opening across the chest. Full inhale, maybe a couple of inhales here. Rolling back onto your back, rocking the knees a little bit side to side. Now, I hardly ever cue this, but if you don't have any kind of osteoporosis and you know it's okay for your low back, you're welcome to pull your knees in and begin to rock up and down a little bit until you're up to seated. Or if you know that's not safe and you have osteoporosis or low back issues, just roll onto your side, push yourself upward, and we're all going to take our time coming into a table pose. So if you're rocking, you might rock all the way forward onto that, or just come over onto your side and up. And we won't be here very long, but you're always welcome to use a blanket under your knees. Just begin to rock, tailbone up and down. Cat and cow a few times, and we're going to move back up into the upper part of the back by coming down onto our elbows into our puppy dog pose. The tailbone and the buns are right over the knees. You can let the chest start to drop toward the floor. You might sink the hips back a little bit to get that upper shoulder stretch, or walk the elbows forward. And the wider the elbows, probably the easier it is on the shoulders, but if that's not true for you, then just be gentle. And if you have shoulder issues, then you might skip this altogether and just sink into a more classical child's pose, balasana, whatever feels right for you. And then we'll just take our time moving into more of a side stretch. So coming up a little higher, walking the arms over to one side, and then stretching back through the hips, dropping the shoulders again if it feels okay. Maybe rocking a little, one big breath. Coming up, you might come all the way to table and just crawl yourself over to the other side, or you can crawl on your elbows and sink back. Coming back up to table. My knees have been really wide apart, but I'm going to walk them a little closer together. You're welcome to keep them anywhere that feels comfortable for you. I want to move into a shoulder twist. So I'm going to start from table. You can start from elbows down. And I'm going to lean into my right hand and take my left hand and slide it behind the hand on the floor and drop down onto that left shoulder, bending the right elbow. You might look under your armpit there and look up toward the sky. Just feel how the twist moves from the shoulder all the way across the back, down the spine to the opposite hip, and take one more breath here. Gently rising as you exhale, coming back up. Take a moment in the middle, and then slide to the other side. Thread the needle or shoulder twist. And back to table pose. We're going to take our time transitioning into standing from here. You are welcome to lift your hips, curl those toes under, come into down dog, or just stay in table for another moment or two and then step one foot forward and then the other. We're just going to take our time, and we're all going to meet up in our hanging forward fold. So I usually say supported forward fold here. You are welcome to slide your elbows onto your thighs. But I'm going to let my upper body hang down a little bit more. I'm going to lay my belly on my thighs, knees bent pretty deeply so that the spine is really long. And I want to let the shoulders really hang out. I might grab opposite elbows so that it feels kind of like a little heavier, so that the shoulders get a nice deep stretch. And you could widen your feet apart. Just kind of swing a little side to side. Just see how it feels. Let your head hang. And you don't have to stay here for as long as I do. If you like, you could always come up and then come back down. Just be gentle with your low back. Make sure that it's supported by pulling the belly inward. I'm just going to take 2 more breaths. And then sliding elbows onto thighs, or maybe the palms onto the thighs, straightening up the back, lifting nice and slow, straightening out the legs as you come up to standing, and just open and close those arms a little bit like wings as you rock side to side. Yeah, we'll do a little fluttering here. I'm just swinging hips side to side, moving arms up and down. I want to move back into those sun breaths. You can keep the hips moving, or you can find a stillness in your legs, steadiness of mountain pose as you flip the palms up and reach up into the air for that full inhale. Pull the belly up as well. Maybe even link your fingers and push toward the sky. And then release, exhale, float down. Inhale, come up, and you're welcome. If you would like to, you can exhale, fold forward and come all the way down on the exhale, knees bending and then rising back up again. But that's very optional. I know for many people that is just not a good idea. For up, forward folding all the time is not great. So you can stay up high if you prefer. Good. And then we'll bring our hands all the way up, link the fingers together, point the pointer fingers up, cross the thumbs, and lean to one side. And maybe widen the feet a little bit as you do that. Lean into that deep stretch. And stay in the stretch and move the hips a little bit. See how that feels, a little bend in the knees. Might be helpful there too. And then try the other side. Stretch into this side and then move a little. And slowly come back to center, releasing the arms just to the height of the shoulders and definitely stepping the feet wider apart this time, wider than the hips. We're going to turn to one side, stretch into it. You can bend the knee that you're twisting away from and maybe even come up onto that toe, but be gentle with the other foot. You might have to turn it out. Just adjust so that the knees stay safe. And then slowly to the other side, adjusting as needed. And then back to center, lower the arms and just kind of let them swing a little bit. How nice. my shoulders, my arms are really awake. Okay, I'm gonna walk up toward the top of the mat, short end of the mat, and slide into a little chair pose. A little deepening in the knees, and you're welcome to lean forward here and hang again just to feel what that feels like. Let the shoulder blades spread apart across the upper back, working into expansion, or you can put your elbows on your thighs or the hands. Take another deep breath. And from chair pose, I want to step back with one foot. I'm going to step back with my leg that's between my wall and you. So that's my left leg. I'm going to drop the heel down, but then I want to turn the toes forward so that both feet are moving forward. And I've got a deep bend in the front knee. So I'm moving into kind of a long warrior one here. I really want that back calf stretch. And you can lean onto that thigh in front of you. So we stepped way back with the left foot, front foot is forward, and we're on different tracks just to help with balance. And then I'm going to start to lift my torso upward, and I might need to stop. If you feel a crunch in your low back or a pinch, then stop there. But if it feels all right to come all the way up, you're welcome to do that. And we're going to open our arms wide behind us. Lift the heart, maybe even walk the eyes up the wall in front of you. Deep breaths here, squeeze the glutes, push into the floor. And slowly come forward again, hands back to the thigh. Now I want to look back at my foot behind me and start to open the toe outward. So I'm moving my back foot and I might slide it behind me a little bit. I want to go into warrior two from here. So I might even heel toe the front foot so that it's more in line with the back arch. And then I'll push up and open the arms out wide here. Palms forward, but then let's take our mudra again. Pull the fingers into the palm, thumbs up, and then flip the palms back behind us. Expand into the upper chest. Keep breathing. And you're welcome to move a little bit, bending and straightening the knee if it feels right. You could even move into a little triangle pose if you wanted to. That's optional. You can just stay holding warrior two, enjoying your breath. And one more nice deep inhale, exhale. Lowering the arms, straightening out that bent knee and turning those toes forward. So now we're in our wide angle position and we're just gonna lift the arms, starfish or five-pointed star here. Our head is one of the points. Lift it up out of the chest, out of the shoulders. Good, and take a big, big breath. And lower the hands down. We're going to turn the left toes out now, the other foot, and we're moving into warrior two. So we're going to bend the knee. The other foot is now the back foot. And my arms are getting pretty tired, but I'm going to try it again. Curl the fingers in, thumbs back. Deep breath. See if you can breathe up into those collarbones. We actually have a little bit of lungs up right around the collarbones. Good. Feel that stretch. A little bit of squeeze on the shoulder blades. One more breath. You are welcome to bend and straighten the knee or lean into triangle. And then slowly let the hands float downward. Roll the shoulders, big, big circles with the arms. We're gonna take our time moving into warrior one from here. So right now we're in a wide open position. We wanna turn toward the new short end of the mat. So I'm just gonna heel toe my front foot back a little bit or over to the left. I'm gonna take my back foot and heel toe it in a little bit. Good, and then turn those toes toward that short end of the mat. Stretch into the heel. Make sure I'm on different skis or different tracks there. Deep bend in that front knee. I'm gonna lean forward at first. This is how we really engage with our warrior one, lengthening through the spine. And then if it feels okay, you can lift upward. You might even lift your arms up this time. You can link the fingers, point through the pointer finger, cross the thumbs, or you can just lift upward. Feel the stretch across the belly. And lowering back down, take a nice deep breath. Slowly stepping up into chair pose. And you can keep your hands on your thighs, stick that tailbone back, flatten out the spine. Roll the shoulder blades back. And gently rise up. Just shake out the arms a little, walk from end to end of the mat. Look around your room, just notice how you're feeling. It's a lot to be doing, but our brain is capable of much. Maybe some deep breaths, maybe a drink. Okay, so I think I'd like to do something like that again. So I'm gonna start though from wide angle position. Everything we do standing is balance work, as you well know. So I'm gonna start here, my hands at my heart, and just pause for a couple deep breaths. Draw the belly inward so you feel really strong in the core. Let there be a tiny bend in both knees and then begin to lean forward. Keep the heart up and just send the tailbone back. And then begin to walk your eyes down the floor until they come to the mat right below you. Keep the spine really long, stretch through the backs of the legs. Maybe turn the toes in a little bit to get a little added stretch. And you can go as deeply into the stretch as it works for you. One more breath here. Taking the hands to the thighs, bend the knees a lot, and slowly lift head and shoulders up, straighten out the knees and turn the left toes out, bend into that knee and open wide into warrior two. And I'm just gonna rock a little bit side to side, just feeling a little bit of side stretch, maybe tapping down, hand to the outer leg and then hand to the knee. Or you might stay quite still and lift upwards with the hands coming together above you. Lowering the hands, I'm going to start to turn toward my front knee and come up onto the ball of the back foot. It's just for a lunge, a lunging moment, and then lifting back up, dropping that heel back down, coming back into wide angle. Yeah, and then turning the other right toes out, bending the right knee, coming into warrior two on this side, and maybe flowing or stretching upward or both. Finding that what works for you, your sweet spot. And one more big breath. Starting to turn toward the front knee, you can let the hands come down to that thigh and you can roll up onto the ball of the back foot. Lunge, feel that length. Take a breath or two and then slowly come back up into warrior two again, dropping that heel down, turning the toes forward, and we're gonna step together. Okay. Let's go ahead and use our strap for just one more shoulder opener, and we'll add a little bit of balance here. So I'm gonna kind of complicate things. I'm gonna use my block as well. I'm gonna do a shoulder position with my arms, and then I'll move into my legs for tree pose. So we're gonna do it backwards. Usually we do our feet first, but first we're gonna do our arms today. I'm just gonna take the strap out in front of me, slowly lifting it upward, And then sliding it behind me, I want to find that spot right where things kind of transition. And I want to stay in that spot with my chest really open. So you'll find it when you come behind you. And you're welcome to bend your elbows if you need to, or lift the strap higher or go lower. It's not a game. It's not a competition. I'm gonna put my block between my feet and lean into one foot and bring the other toes to the block and open the knee wide. And as I start to press into the ball of my foot, maybe the heel can touch the inside of the standing leg, I'm going to lift up with my chest, pull the strap apart, squeeze my shoulder blades, pull my belly in, push down with my feet, and breathe. Yes, expanding. Feel that upper breath in the top of your chest, in the top of your back. And then slowly bring the hands forward. The strap comes down as we step off of the block and bend the knees and slide forward. I'm going to come back into that hanging forward fold and maybe grab elbows again. Or just let the hands hang, let the head hang. And then grab your opposite shoulders, let the elbows stack, rounding the upper back as you slowly stand up and begin to straighten it out. And you're in your hug. Good. Let's swing our hips around a little. And then we'll try the other side, of course. All right, grabbing the strap. Whew. All right, one more time. Lift the arms up and over. Find that spot where you get the stretch. And then begin to set up your legs, bringing the ball of the foot, opening it up. I really love having the block because I can push down into it. And then we really begin all of the different dynamics here. Arms pulling the strap apart, shoulder blades gently squeezing, belly drawing in and up, the ball of the foot pushing into the block, the standing leg lifting us as we breathe. Maybe lean back just a little and then release and relax and let the hands come forward. I'm going to turn toward the top edge of my mat as I get rid of my block and strap and move back into that hanging forward fold. Just letting the lumbar spine get stretched out, rocking a little side to side, let the head hang. And then just taking your time, stepping the feet back. You can try down dog if you like, or just right down to table and then child's pose. As quick or slow as you go. We're going to take 5 deep breaths in child's pose, just feeling the residual energy from those big standing poses. Wiggling your fingers as you rock upwards. Let's go ahead and crawl down onto our bellies. Take a moment. You might pause in the middle for that elbow plank and then slowly drop down. And you're welcome to drop right into Sphinx pose or rest for a few moments all the way down on your chest until you feel ready to let that go. Breathe into the low belly. Really feel the back being lifted and lowered with the breath. Take your time. If you haven't gone there already, begin to walk the elbows under the shoulders for our low back stretch, our Sphinx pose. Now, if you're interested, you can also bend one knee and get a little quad stretch right across the front of the leg. You can point and flatten the toes or roll the ankle. Feel that deepening of the stretch. You might even lift the heart just slightly and then lower that toe, those toes, and lift up the other foot. Just take your time. You can go side to side. You could rock a little. We're just moving the stretch out of the shoulders and down into the lumbar spine again, down that lower back. And when you feel like you've had enough, you'll just let the legs come down and start crawling the elbows in as you push your butt up and move into your puppy dog or child's pose once more. After you've taken a few deep breaths there, slowly crawl up to table. Walk your knees forward, and you're welcome to crisscross your legs here and sit back on them, or you can just sink your hips to one side and come into a seated position. We're all going to come into staff pose. I'm just going to sit up on a blanket. I don't know about you guys, but my shoulders and my upper back are really warmed up. Hopefully we'll balance it out a little bit, get a little further down into the body as we move toward the end of our practice. I'm just gonna rock a little side to side, maybe get the neck involved, dropping the ear toward the shoulder, coming back up straight with the head and dropping the chin down, sliding the hands slightly behind, leaning forward a little bit at a time. And you can decide how your back should be positioned. If you have osteoporosis or low back issues, you're gonna keep nice and straight. If not, and you like how it feels and you know it's safe, you can round the back slightly, getting a little deeper stretch. And then slowly walk your hands wider and wider. And either bring them to your shins or let the fingers touch the toes. Another deep breath. As you rise up, slide the right knee upward, slide the right foot on the floor, and walk that right hip back. So you're turning into your seated twist. And you can kind of rock a little bit here. Let the knee open and close a little. Just see how your low back is doing. Moving yourself into your depth of the twist for about 3 deep breaths there. Turning slightly forward, drop the knee to the floor and lean into that knee and start to bend the other leg and send it behind you. A little bit of a sloppy pigeon. And you can roll a little bit. I'm sitting on my blanket still, so I have that support underneath the hip that I've just started to really stretch down into. And your back could stay lifted and high if you like that low back stretch and the belly stretch, or you could walk forward and lay over your thigh for your variation of pigeon pose. 2 or 3 deep breaths here. Coming up slowly. I'm gonna really deeply bend the back knee and roll up into kind of an awkward position here. I'm just gonna rock hip to hip for a moment. And then take my time leaning back and straightening out the legs again. Nice and long staff pose. Let's do an engaged staff pose here instead of that forward fold. I'm just gonna take my hands down beside me, maybe even let them hover or push into the floor as I lift up with the heart, lean the head back a little, push out through the heels, maybe press the backs of the backs of the knees toward the floor, and take a breath or 2. And as you relax, you can start to drag the left heel on the ground toward you, bending the knee, walking the hip back a little, turning into your twist. And you can rock, lift, and turn. 3 breaths. As you turn forward slightly, dropping the knee, start to lean into the knee and slide the other leg back. The knee can be as bent as you like as you lean into your pigeon shape. And I'm not really cueing any kind of alignment here. I just want you to kind of roll and gently feel the stretch, only going to the depth that is still pleasant for you, something that feels good. Gently rising, nice and slow as you bend the back knee and lean back a little and rock a little, twist a little, just get that awkward stretch into that hip there. And then leaning back, rocking the knees side to side. We're going to take our time rolling over on our side and then onto our backs once more. Just take your time pulling the knees into the chest or stretching the legs out. A little bit of happy baby on our back, letting the knees kind of slide out over the ribs to the outer edges and just squeezing the knees in. Breathing deep, feel the expansion across the back again and again as you breathe in and out. Beginning to just lift the right foot and maybe grab the ankle or the inside or outside of the foot and start to let go of the left knee. Let that foot come down to the floor. And then see about just rocking the right leg in the air side to side and maybe beginning to stretch the left leg down the mat. Just take your time. If it feels good, keep going. If you need to pause, please do that. And let's take the left arm over the head so the whole left side of the body is stretching. You might roll to the right a little bit to increase that stretch, pointing the toes, maybe hovering the left leg a little above the ground. And as you roll back to center, pull that left knee back into the chest and change sides for your happy baby on the other side. Releasing now the right foot, take your time. Deep, slow breaths really help us be present with how that feels. You can add the right arm over the head for the full side stretch. And then pulling both knees back to the chest again. Let's try a few openness, just slowing us down, rocking the knees away and drawing them inward. Take your time slowly pushing your feet up in the air. Flatten out the feet. You can push into the quads, the thighs, or you can hold on behind the legs as you really flatten the feet and get a little engagement going all the way through your legs. A little bit of isometrics almost feeling here, a little bit of shaking, pushing through the heels, straightening the knees as much as you can. You can take the arms over your head for what we might call down dog on your back. Take another big breath. And slowly bend the knees, float the feet down, let the hands come down beside you, let the feet touch the outer edges of the mat and rock the knees to one side and then the other. Really wide windshield wipers. Just enjoying the depth of that twist. Breathing deeply into the belly. Let's finish up with a couple of different twists. So we'll start with this wide knee twist. Let the knees rock over to one side and take 2 or 3 breaths there. You can let your arms go wider and wider or keep them low or even over the head at high stretch. And then slowly but surely rock to the other side. Walking the feet back onto the floor, walking the feet in pretty close to your hips so you can scoot them right to the middle of the mat, maybe a little past center over toward the right edge. And then we'll stretch out the left leg, pull that right knee in, and then take opposite hand to that knee and draw it over the body. Knee over twist. Yeah, see how that feels. Deep breath, stretch back behind you with your arm. Rolling slowly back upward. You can open into tree pose. I love that as a counter stretch to that knee over twist. And then bending both knees, both feet back on the floor. We're going to scoot our hips a little to the left, just slightly past center. Stretch out the right leg, lift the left knee in, take the opposite hand to that knee and roll it over. See how that feels. Open the chest wide. The arm reaches back. And then slowly opening into the tree pose for just one breath. Readjust the hips when you need to. And bending both knees again, both feet back on the floor. This time we're going to scoot our hips almost all the way to the right edge of the mat. And we're going to pick the knees up and roll them to the left. Really deep twist here. Or maybe it's not that deep for you. And you're welcome to keep both knees bent or straighten out that top leg, just like we did at the beginning of class. Just see how that feels. Gently press that top hip down the mat so that you get this widening across the waistband. Maybe the arm can go over the head or out wider. And one more big breath. Slowly, gently rolling back up. Lifting the hips just a little so you can scoot them all the way over to the left edge. Pick the knees up and roll them over to the right. Feel free to stretch out that top leg. Open out with the arm. And moving in slow motion, roll back onto your back when you're ready. And move into your Shavasana, whatever that looks like today. Just intuitively going where your body wants to go. Taking those deep, deep breaths that help us transition into stillness. Practicing that full torso breathing a few more times and then just letting the breath drop into its natural, easy rhythm. Letting the body breathe itself. And you're welcome to curl your fingers in toward your palm and let your thumbs point outward for our mudra again, or maybe you have a different mudra that you love, or you just want to leave your hands relaxed. That's fine. Just want to walk you through just a slow, slight, it's almost like a slight meditation here. Just tuning in as much as you want to. Just embracing the natural rhythm of your breath. Feeling the expansion of your body as you breathe in, and the releasing of tension as you breathe out. Welcoming any sensations that you may become aware of. Or maybe just welcoming the release from even noticing the body and just allowing your brain and your emotions to float. I'd like to read to you some of a children's book that I came across this last year. It's so beautiful. I'm just going to read you some of the words. It's a book called Maybe, written by a woman named Kobi Yamada, and the illustrations are gorgeous too, but the words are especially beautiful, just in light of the idea that we can expand into our own lives. Here's what the book says. Have you ever wondered why you are here? You are the only one there ever has been or ever will be. You are the only you. You have so much to offer. Your life is yours. Try as many things as you can try. See as many things as you can see. Do everything with love. Follow your heart and see where it leads you. There really is more inside you than you know. And this world needs your gifts, your talents, and your big ideas. Maybe you have no idea just how good you really can be, and maybe you don't know how much you matter. But maybe, just maybe, the world has been waiting centuries for someone exactly like you. One thing is for sure, you are here. And because you are here, anything is possible. Let's just rest and quiet, just see where our thoughts go. Feel free to come back again and again to your awareness of your breath. Just listening to your intuition, allowing yourself to rest in stillness a little longer, or realizing when it is time for you to begin to transition back into seated again. And as you find your seat, you might leave your hands in your lap. You might roll the fingers back into your palm, thumbs out one more time. Wherever you'd like to be, just finishing with our affirmation that with openness and expansion, I feel enthusiasm, optimism, and vitality for life. Thank you so much. Namaste.